when we think about Evo and we think about the future, we do think about it as being like a global brand. We think about it in the context that, you know, the for the kind of customers that we look to attract, we would like to attract them all over the world. My name is Bryce Phillips, and I am the founder of Evo. I was skiing in Japan the year before last, and I was in conversation with somebody else. Someone asked me a question about Evo, and the owner of the lodge that we were staying in said, "Hey, what do you guys know about that company or Evo?" And I said, "Actually, I started it a few years ago." And he goes, "Oh," and he's like, "No way! I bought 3 pairs of skis from you. She bought her skis from you, and so did he." And like within this small room, 3 people in Japan. One was from the UK, one was from Canada but living in Japan, and the other one was, I think, from France. And they had all somehow interacted with what we do here in Seattle. So it's just like it really hits home. You're like, oh my gosh, like you have that reach, and being on the web, it's you know, the word travels, and your brand can travel, you know, very, very quickly.
Well, the fact that we're online means we're global. So audiences from all over the world are on our website. My name is Nathan Decker. I'm the senior human of e-commerce. Roughly 5% of our business happens outside of the US. We have the ability to ship anywhere in the world, and we do have customers in a lot of different countries. We don't ship a lot internationally aside from Canada. We are confined in some ways by a lot of our dealer agreements. Manufacturers are very careful as to who can sell their product and in what ways it can be offered. And they want to be able to control distribution in different countries so that A, they don't saturate a market too much, and B, so that the competition remains, you know, what they would deem fair. And so consolidating all of that to one particular vendor or retailer, I think is not beneficial to their agenda and their goals. So that's a big constraint at this point. And I think working through some of those partnerships and dealer agreements, I think is step one. Once we kind of work through that and get the green light from some of our bigger vendors, I think then it will become more of a strategic focus.
The whole like kind of hot marketing word of the last, a couple years has been like this like whole concept of things being viral. And like the thing is when you look at it, you know, it's like we did a huge event with Rossignol. We launched we did a global launch of their skis. So because the first place the skis were released to the entire world was here, and that was this last spring. And that made its way onto every single free skiing website and skiing website basically in the world.
You know, that's good for brand exposure and to get our name out there. But again, we're still, in terms of the actual product, which is what we offer and what we sell, we still can't distribute a lot of our product to those countries. And so it's great to get that exposure, and we're not making marketing decisions based on the global exposure. We're making marketing decisions based on the domestic exposure mostly. And so sometimes there's spillover, like with magazines, where we just by default we get access to an international market, which is fantastic. It's a benefit that we get from some of our investments in marketing and certain marketing vessels, but it's not the primary focus by any means.
So I was talking a little bit more with Kyle about Evo Trip, and I know that you have some ideas about Bali.
Yeah.
So I want to hear like what are the thoughts about that, so we can kind of move forward.
Everything we do, you know, whether it be something we buy, something we sell, something we invest in, is connected globally. And, you know, I think that, you know, what I've said from the beginning and that I have tried to really promote in every way is like, you got to get out there and just like, you know, touch and feel and experience these other cultures and these other places, because then you really start to see how this stuff plays out. Well, I mean, Bali, especially after, it's just a no-brainer. I mean, the place is unreal, and it has like all of the pieces. It's got, you know, incredible food and culture and all the things that like make a place new and exciting, but to be right on the water or right in the mountains within like minutes makes perfect sense.
So it'd be like ski, snowboard, ride basically in Japan, and then beach, surf in Bali. That's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Evo Trip is the travel arm of Evo, and it's a unique kind of fresh endeavor for us. It's something we've never done before.
The people that we sell to travel. I mean, they ski to travel, they surf, they snowboard, there's all these different things they do in different places, whether it be nationally or internationally. And knowing that that is something that they're doing, we're like, well, how can we, how can we bring a new service or a new product to this customer that we think that they're either are already doing, and B, we can add our twist and do something even more exciting, and marketing it in a way that we think will bring in the kind of people who are open and excited about learning about these new locations, and then also connecting them with local people. For us, that's like a really cool thing. And then from the business side of it, this is always just like figuring out how are you continuing to monetize, this customer. What are the things, the goods and services, or the products that you're bringing to that customer that will, that they could potentially use or take or buy, that will, make to build for even a more solid foundation.